The World Cup 2021 has come to an end, and the winner is the Polish GM Jan Krzysztof Duda. A huge congratulations to Duda, who played a brilliant tournament starting with beating Sam Savian, Idani Poya, then Grishchuk, Vidit, Karlsson, Karjakin. As he said, this was the tournament of his life. What we are going to see here is the second classical game of the finals, where Duda managed to outwit the Minister of Defense Sergey Karjakin. So let's have a look at this game. Duda, playing with the white pieces, opens the game with 1d4. Karjakin goes knight f6, c4, e6, knight f3, d5, knight c3. And as Duda mentioned in the post-game conference, that he was expecting Queen's Gambit declined here, maybe bishop e7 or knight bd7. But he was a bit surprised when Karjakin played the semi-Tarash with the move c5. Now we know in general Karjakin's strategy in these tournaments, knockout events, is to be very solid in the classical games, take it to the tie breaks where he's very good at shorter formats, and then try to win there. Duda continued cd5 and now cd4. This is very popular these days, queen d4, ed5. And now two direct ways to play here are bishop g5 and e4. Here he went bishop g5. Duda played bishop g5. e4 is a very interesting line because after knight c6, bishop b5, d takes e4, and the line continues. And I mean, it is very theoretical. Knight g5, bishop e6. Black seems to be holding his own well over there. So white players are looking for some new terrain. Bishop g5, bishop e7. This is important. If you go knight c6, I can take on f6, knight d4, bishop d8, and king d2. And I think white is winning here. So that's the reason why bishop e7, e3. And now if you play knight c6, white doesn't need to move his queen just as yet because you have bishop b5, pinning the knight. So castles is accurate. And now Duda was aware of what to play here, because in one of his online rapid games with Vidit at European Online Club Cup, he played bd3, and this is not the most accurate move. It was after h6, bishop h4, knight c6, queen a5, bishop e6, castles and queen b6. Vidit had already equalized the game and went on to draw. The point of rook d1 is that you have pressure down the d file, and also in many situations when the queen comes to b6 to attack this, you can meet it with rook d2, which is a comfortable way of defending the pawn. So here bishop e6 is slightly more accurate. Now the point is that you want to develop this bishop, and putting it on b5 without the knight actually being there seems silly because black can just kick it away. So that's the reason why bishop e6 is more accurate. And then, if you go for, let's say, bd3, then h6. This was played in the game between Jordan Van Forest, black, and Wojtaszek, who was white, at Vaikanze. And you can see this idea in action, castles, h3. And well, it was a draw, but white had a small edge. And Duda said, well, it's a good thing to play like this in a critical game. Knight c6, queen a4, bishop e6. And now making use of the advantage that he hasn't developed his bishop yet to d3, he put his bishop to b5. And we reach the first critical moment of the game, because here h6 is the correct move. And then let's say bishop back here. If you were to take bishop f6, bishop f6, bishop c6, bc6, and queen c6, then after rook b8, black has great compensation. The b2 pawn cannot really be defended, and black is doing very well. But if you go bishop h4 here, then I think the game could continue normally with rook c8, and it's roundabout even. Queen b6 by Sergey turned out to be a small inaccuracy here, because after bishop f6 and knight d5, generally this is not supposed to be great for white, because you are exchanging a weakness on d5. You see, this pawn is an isolated pawn, so you're exchanging that weakness for your b2 pawn here, which is quite a healthy pawn. But what Duda realized is that his rook is very well positioned, and this was very good understanding, because here he continued with the move king e2. Very interesting decision. He could have even castled, and the main point is, let's say after bishop f6, I play rook fd1, and white has a nagging edge in this position, because at any moment he is threatening to take and ruin the structure a little bit, create a weakness on c6. At the same time, his rooks are well placed. He can expand on the king side with his pawns. But I also like king e2, because here, as Duda mentioned, he wanted to prepare for the endgame. He wanted to keep his king in the center, and it would be very useful in the endgame. Bishop f6 was played. If you play a6, I would take and come back. And now with rook b1 threatened, let's say you go bishop f6 back and then rook c1. You can already see that white is slightly better. Bishop f6, rook d1, and now rook c8 was played. Here Duda went bishop c4. So slowly and steadily he's putting pressure here. He is looking at the f7 point to attack, and also the rook is threatening to come to d7. So could be possible to play rook d8 here, but Karjakin played this move queen b4, which was slightly surprising. Of course, you cannot take right now, because your bishop on c4 is hanging, and this would win for black. But the point is that after queen b3, black really doesn't have anything good than to exchange the queens, and after bishop b3, the king on e2 is very, very happy. Also notice that you might feel that here queen b2 check or something is inconvenient, but there's always this rook 1 d2 blocking the check, and nothing much is happening. So queen b4, he played queen b3, takes bishop b3, now knight to b8, and something definitely has gone wrong here. So in this position, it's white to play. What would you do here? It's a nice moment to think about what would you do. So the rook is well placed. The knight doesn't have really great squares because the bishop controls them. And right now you want to go to d7, but the knight protects it. So what do? You improve your position. And this you can do with the space gaining move g4. If you found this, well done. You understand this positional chess very well. If knight a6, I think this was a better option. In the game, Karjakin went h6. So knight a6, g5, bishop c3, rook c1, rook c7, h4. White is slowly pressing. Okay, black can hope to hold on for longer here. When he went h6, h4, g6, g5, and generally, guys, this structure here after hg is very, very weak with the bishop here. The h file is open. The knight can jump to h4, attack this pawn, and so on. By the way, a very interesting move here was h5, and after gh5, you take knight g5, and the black king is getting slaughtered there. But he took hg, and now if bishop g7, there are many good moves, but knight h4 seems very strong because you want to take on g6. And if you of course come here, then I have rook h1 putting pressure down the h file. So bishop e7 was played, and now rook e5 attacking the bishop, knight c6, and it's your moment to think, where would you like to move this rook? Try to think and then give the answer. Did I manage to fool you? You don't need to move that rook. Okay, you might have thought, oh, rook b5, but then there's rook c7. You might have thought rook e4, which was also what Duda wanted to do. But the right move is rook d7. Such a powerful move here. Because if you were to take on e5, then after knight e5, the bishop is hanging. And now this pawn is hanging, this pawn is hanging. So if you go rook e8, then knight takes g6, this is trapped and it's game over. So rook d7, bd8 was played, and now another nice move, rook b5, attacking b7. b6 was possible and maybe the best, and then after knight e5, knight e5, rook e5, white is dominating this position because his pieces are just superbly positioned. But knight a5 turned into a mistake. Here, Duda and Karjakin's tiredness could be clearly seen, because there was a tactical, easy tactic after rook d8, and rook takes a5. But okay, bd5 is also a strong move. Now, black's pieces are really horribly positioned. He went rook c7, and Duda finished it off with a nice move here. White to play, what would you do? Well, I hope that you didn't go for rook d8 and rook a5, because now after b6, rook b5, a6, turns out the bishop is hanging, and here after bishop f7, let's say rook f7, rook b6, the position is equal, and not a good one for white from where he was, So the right move here is bishop takes f7. Good job if you found this. If rook takes, then you have rook d8 followed by rook a5. So king g7 was played. He took, and bishop d5 was played. And in this position, Sergey said, well, this is enough. I would like to resign, because he's pawn down. And also, let's say if a move, most natural move b6, then white has a powerful move. Can you find it? Yep, knight d4, threatening knight e6, triple fork here, like this, and it's already over. And if you went instead of b6, bishop b6, then there is knight e5, threatening all sorts of things, knight d7 being one of them. And with this, Duda managed to win the World Cup, and he's through to the candidates 2022, which is a big breakthrough in his chess career. Whenever you look at Duda, you see a man who is fearless, who loves to play chess, who just enjoys himself on the chessboard. And it's a big result for the Polish grandmaster, who said after the tournament that he definitely needs to take some rest. For sure, after 25 days of grueling chess, this is the least you can ask for. Well done, Jan Krzysztof Duda. You are amazing and you've played a great event. Also, congratulations to Sergey Karjakin for making it this far. He played brilliant chess, beat some very strong opponents, and now he's also through to the candidates 2022. Magnus Carlsen beat Fedosiev 2-0 in the match for third and finished third, which means Fedosiev did not get his spot to the candidates. But again, a great event for Vladimir Fedosiev. Till then, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. This is Sagar Shah signing off. Bye bye.